Hey Motiv Nation, Nick Parr here with you again in Grand Rapids, Michigan at Lucky Strike Lanes, introducing the new Evoke Mayhem. Really excited about this new addition to the Evoke line. We've actually gone back to making a solid version, but we learned a lot from using the cover that we put on the Evoke Hysteria, and then went backwards to make this a solid version of that basically. So it has Propulsion MXV solid, and it comes at 2,000 grit out of box and still has the overload core that the Evoke series is known for. And really excited about this one. This one's gonna be a much better piece that you can use longer and then transition right into your Evoke Hysteria, which is a Pearl. What I've noticed about this ball is that it continues so much more down lane compared to the original solid that we created. And that's due to this cover stock and going backwards from what we learned on the Evoke Hysteria. So this is gonna be a great ball to use on the fresh for like medium long or heavier patterns, and it's gonna not be too early to where you're gonna have to be forced into more oil, so you're gonna be able to stay close to the friction without it being, you know, too erratic or too big and too slow down lane. This is still gonna have plenty of motion down lane for it being at 2,000 grit out of box, and obviously you can play around with that based on your ball roll and style of play. But out of box, I think that this is one of the most continuous and bigger balls that we have that you can use for a long period of time. You know, if you look at an Onyx, it's so big that you need to have oil. This doesn't need as much oil, and I feel like you can use it longer as you transition and see more and more friction show up and still have it get through the pins incredibly well. So as always, the first Evoke Mayhem you're gonna see me throw is my typical pin-up tester layout. This is 55 by 5.5 by 35. This is gonna be one that I know I'm gonna use on the fresh to control the middle of the lane and not have something too erratic down lane. I can really get close to the friction and use more of the puddle as my hold to the left, knowing that this is still gonna dig through it and have enough energy down lane. And the second Evoke Mayhem you're gonna see me throw today is my typical pin down layout. This is 45 by 5 3/4 by 65. This is gonna be really good when my pin up one either gets a little too lazy down lane because it's burning up because a little bit more friction has showed up. So if I really like the shape or the feel of the lane that I'm getting out of the Mayhem, I can just go to the pin down one, stay at about in the same spot, but know that I can throw it into the friction and have it curl off a little bit more and be a little bit more continuous. Comparing the Evoke Mayhem to the original Evoke Solid, you're gonna see that they're very similar as far as how they read the lane, but down lane motion is definitely the thing to look at. The Mayhem is gonna be much more continuous and maybe a little bit quicker overall, also allowing me to use more angle. I felt like the original Evoke was really good at playing up the lane with shallower angles, staying closer to the friction and using the oil to my left as shim. But now with this Mayhem, I'm able to shape it a lot more and continue to move left and still see a great ball reaction. Comparing the Evoke Mayhem to the Subzero Forge, it's gonna be much more down lane, doesn't need as much friction compared to the Subzero Forge. That Subzero is just a little bit slower, more controllable, really smooth. So that's gonna force me a little bit closer to the friction and not be so violent down lane. It's gonna blend it out and be really smooth. The big difference I see between the Raptor Reign and the Evoke Mayhem is the motion down lane. I feel like they pick up in the oil with similar strengths. However, the Mayhem being asymmetric, I'm able to manipulate the down lane motion a little bit more compared to a symmetric version of the Affliction that's found in the Raptor series.